what we want to do, we want to hop over to MediaMonarchy.com as, again, we start to go through all our news that's all laid out in a somewhat orderly fashion. Again, it's gotten pretty damn hot here in Portland, my kingdom for air-conditioned studio. But again, it can't all be luxury. I do this because it's a passion. And I'd do it shirtless and half naked in here if I had to. But let's get to the news purge this week. Walk Tall, again, named for our opening song. And we're going to start off with drug war updates. I know we usually start off with the 9/11 updates as we go through our subheadings alphabetically. But the 9/11 updates we've put with the 7/7 anniversary post that we're going to go over in just a little bit. So starting with the drug war and starting on newsjunkiepost.com, marijuana busts is where the money is for cops. Marijuana, certainly not the most pressing crime problem in the U.S., but local police departments with chronic budget shortfalls are concentrating more on pot busts than ever before because, quote, it's where the money is, according to one California sheriff. In an era when law enforcement has been forced to lay off staff, reduce patrols, and even release jail inmates, officers have found that going after marijuana growers and smokers makes them eligible for hefty federal anti-drug grants. This coming from Justin Scheck at Murdoch's Wall Street Journal, who we're going to hear from a lot more in this episode 177. But continuing, Shasta County, which we're going to return to in just a little bit. Again, find that all these stories are connected, and that's the amazing thing as we put these shows together week after week. I don't see the connection sometimes until I'm going through them. And again, I like Media Monarchy being a repository and even a resource for a lot of the other alternative media outlets that I love and look up to, whether that's groundzeromedia.org, zeropointradio.com, or corporereport.com, or alexansary.com, or any of those. To see it then get turned around and have folks pick up on things, and then I learn things. And again, that's how it all works. Shasta County Sheriff Tom Basinko said his department is eligible for roughly $500,000 a year in federal anti-drug funding. The only problem is most of the money has to be used to fight pot as part of the multi-agency federally funded Campaign Against Marijuana Planting, CAMP. The federal government has for a long time allocated money to help local communities fight crime and influencing their law enforcement priorities in the process. Now, of course, what isn't mentioned right there, not to say that News Junkie Post would leave this out, but we were just giving you the first couple sentences there. To fight crime, everybody knows that if you legalized all drugs, you would cut out most of the crime. And I think our cartoon posted up at the top of this news purge with the drug war, marijuana bust, where the money is for cops, shows a judge in the courtroom and the guy standing in front of him. And the judge says, if we tolerated your pot use, next we'd be legalizing hemp, which would threaten my investments in synthetic fabrics, plastics, pesticides, oil, prisons, etc. So I have no choice but to jail you for 30 years. And that's how it goes. What goes along right with that from Alternate, pot versus alcohol, as if we needed a new article on this, but again, just further proof, putting it on the record. Experts say booze is the bigger danger between weed and alcohol. I don't need to tell you that, but again, we need to tell everybody else that. And again, I'll throw out just as it pops into my head, and speaking of Clyde Lewis, I know his take is that they're going to give us marijuana and trash everything else. Now, a story that we've got under the drug war postings, and I believe we also reference it in our police state updates. National Guard troops invading neighborhoods to fight drugs. Again, fighting crime, fighting drugs. The military now has to come into your neighborhood to keep you from using a plant. And of course, we always just want to quote Bill Hicks that making a plant illegal is kind of unnatural and is like saying your creator made a mistake. But we've got more on this story. New York National Guard invading neighborhoods to fight drugs. We've got it from blacklistednews.com, one of the premier alternative news sites. And a lot of this is sourcing back to, I believe, a Fox 23 report that ties in with this, buried in the story that's just supposed to be good PR for the military police state fighting the menace of marijuana that, again, they keep illegal to keep themselves sitting pretty with the aforementioned investments in synthetic fabrics and plastics and pesticides and oils and prisons. But then you discover things like this. New York National Guard using gamma ray scanning machines.
In tonight's Fox Focus, the New York National Guard has been part of missions around the world, but they also have a very important one right here at home.
It's to keep the drugs off our local streets. Their technology and training is now free to local police departments and agencies if they want it. As Fox 23's Kristen Lamont explains, no one's been turned away if they ask for help.
Dust and desert, the images most equate with the New York National Guard on the front lines in the Middle East fighting the war on terror.